Welcome to Cohort After Dark, a new thing when we're just going to have a couple of my classmates talk about the DBA program, talk about business, talk about what they do. I don't know. We'll figure it out. There's no scripts. We've got Raheem Manning and Vince Patram, and you're going to hear what they got to say.
What's up, everybody? I'm Raheem Manning. I serve as a senior director for the nighttime economy for the city of Philadelphia and a first-year Temple Fox School of Business DBA student.
Hello, everyone. I'm Vince Patram. I work in marketing, global marketing for a chemical company. First-year DBA student as well at Temple. And hello.
Right. I think we can kick it off. Vince, how you like Philly?
I like it, man.
I heard you spent a lot of time here in your past.
Yeah.
What was her name again?
I told you about that, right? Yeah, no, I used to come out here a lot when I was a kid and in college and everything like that. So spent a lot of time out in Philly.
Is that one of the reasons you chose Fox?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I hear a lot of good things about Fox. And so I said, all right, you know what? I'm going to apply to the school and see what it's about.
Did you apply to any other schools?
I applied to like 3 or 4. So I actually applied to Johnson Wales. What else did I apply to? I think I applied to Rutgers, applied to Drexel, and Penn State just started up a program, so I applied there too, right? So then I started looking at everything, and I said, you know what, I don't want to do online only, so I just decided to, come to Fox because I needed to have the in cohort, in person.
I can't do it online, it doesn't hit the same.
Yeah, no, I mean, and that was coming back from doing a master's like 20 years ago or something like that.
You did your master's 20 years ago?
Yeah, and that was a long time ago, right? So
20 years ago?
Back then, there was no internet. You had to do everything. You had to be there in person. So when I was looking for this experience, I was like, you know what? I want to do it in person. Otherwise,
I did my master's. I started my master's program 10 years ago. Yeah, because I was finished in 2019. Yeah.
What did you do? You do MBA? Or?
Yeah, MBA at Thomas Jefferson.
All right.
Yeah. What was your master's in?
It was MBA, and then I did it in supply chain and finance.
Yeah, mine was marketing and management.
Yeah. So no, I did it. It was Rutgers, and it was like 20-something years ago, right? So when I was looking at it, it was a different time, right? So now I was looking at, all right, I was young, coming out of college. Yeah. So I ended up 2003 finishing. And I was thinking to myself, now that things are changing, right? And I'm in the middle part of my career. So I was saying now AI's out there and all these things are coming out. Like I have another 15, 20 years, maybe even longer to work. So how do you compete in the marketplace against these younger kids that are coming out or young, and who with all these newer technologies? I said, it's time to go back and reinvest in myself.
So how is it going back to school after such a long break?
It's tough, man. It's tough because then you got a job and then you have a lot of things to do on your table, on your plate. You have commitments at work, right? And then you also have to do this workload. And we all know what we signed up for because you have to be here in person. You have to do the workload, but you also have these commitments at work. So we have to you just have to find a balance of carving out the time, right? So.
Yeah.
What about yourself? What's how you finding it after first semester?
I mean, I like it. I think it's like one of those things when you first think about going back to get the degree. Like when I first thought about I knew I wanted to get a doctorate degree. I was like, okay, how is this going to play out? I was looking at DBA programs like 3 years ago, and I looked at Drexel particularly at their program. And I realized, if I would have started when I looked at it, I'd be done now, but it's okay. Yeah. So I was like, all right, I finally pulled the trigger. I was like, let's make it happen. I applied to 3 programs because I knew I wanted to stay local in Philly, so I didn't cast anything outside of Philly. Then I applied to St. Joe's, to Drexel, and to Temple, and I got into all of them. But man, Fox was just amazing. Like the touch points, the customer service, they just were on it. And I teach at Drexel. I adjunct there. Yeah. So I was knowing pretty much I was going to go to Drexel. And, that was my focus. And Drexel's great, LeBeau's great and all, but I think the touch points at Temple was really, really awesome. Lynn was great, in the interview, and in her follow-up was really awesome. So I had pulled the trigger. I was like, I'm going to go to Temple. And Temple's like Philly's university. People really call Temple home when you're in Philly. And so I was like, why not be TU made? Yeah. And so I'm here. It's been good. I think I've managed better than I thought I would be. I think the workload's heavy. But I love the cohort aspect to it. So if I'm having a question about a an assignment, or I think it's batshit crazy. Like I put in a group chat, like, I'm not only one thinking it's crazy, like 40 pages. And they're like, everybody's like, yeah, you're not crazy. So I do like the support there with the cohort. And I think we have a really awesome cohort. It's really diverse. It's really rich. And where people are from, the backgrounds, what everybody brings to it. So I'm super excited.
Yeah, I like it too. I think that, we have a lot of different folks there. And I thought it was going to be a little pretentious coming in, right, when you're doing it. And so like you come in the first day, right, and you're kind of checking everybody out in the program, sizing each other.
You're sizing everybody out. Like,
yeah,
I'm
exactly.
smarter than everybody.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And so then, so I come in, and then I was like, and then after you get over that hurdle, or you get over that first stage jitters, and then you go out to the mixers and things like that. Everyone's in the same boat too. Everyone's working these crazy jobs and have families and have this or that and worried about, what are they going to do with their futures, right? And everybody's has their same, idiosyncrasies. And so it was just to get everyone together. It's kind of, it definitely helped. Helped a bit. Then, let's say, doing it online, you're never going to have that interaction.
Yeah, I wouldn't have signed up for an online program. Like I don't learn that way. Because I look online, like I can go, this interaction. I think one thing Fox does, which I enjoy, is that the interaction between the cohort is just as important as the work you're learning. So like they facilitate that, the socials, or even the way we're like put up in groups in our classes. I think that's really good. But I also think there's a group of us, and I think most of us are in this group. There's some outliers, but everybody's intentional about reaching out to each other and connecting and going out, whether it's grabbing dinner afterwards or, me giving you guys the most amazing tour of Philly you ever had in your life, keeping you out till the sun comes up a little bit. But, things like that, I think is really great. And I think when you're in programs like this, yes, the knowledge base, it's, getting to your dissertation and understanding how to speak in academia, but it's the relationships, I think, that are going to be most fruitful from a program like this.
Yeah. I think what I found a lot interesting is like when I'm working in the chemical industry, right? And so a lot of it is looking at, analyzing data or analyzing market trends and all of these good things, right? And so I never had an opportunity really to really say why are we doing this, right? And I shouldn't say not had an opportunity, but I just didn't dive deeper into it, right? And so now I'm starting to ask these questions and research, right, that I wouldn't have typically asked in terms of setting up a proof, setting up a construct, setting up a hypothesis, testing it, seeing how well this case could be, how well the scenario could be, and I'm applying it into my.
So what you're saying is that you are actively using what we're learning right away in your industry?
Yeah, I think so. We're doing a couple things in marketing. I'm trying now to apply it. My research is focusing on artificial intelligence, trying to use it in the chemical industry, looking at trying to advance molecular research and how we can do that using AI, where we do a lot of blending and formulations. Can you find something that makes a better formulation, right? And that works better for you than having to do trial and error in a lab, right? And so that's kind of what I'm working on. But then you have to look at, is there verifiability? Is there trust in the system? Are we there yet with certain models, right? Are the systems intuitive enough to really do complex math when it looks at things like that? And that's kind of what my focus is on. What about you? What do you?
I think you tapped on something. I was like, let's talk about the GPT in the room.
Yeah.
I think so many people in our program, like their research question is somehow AI based.
Right.
And for me, mine's is again about nighttime economy, more so socioeconomic policy making and economies of scale. But I feel like when we're looking at a lot of the other cohort members and even yours speaking, everybody's talking about AI right now. And is that a matter of the time? Is that a matter of being proactive in it? Or is it just how do I put it? Like the easy thing to go to? Like, okay, when we're looking, again, I know that we're all early in our research questions and everybody says what we're thinking about, researching now won't be what we'll be in a year or so from now. But I just feel like everybody, like maybe I would say arbitrarily 75% of the program has AI somewhere in their research question. And I'm on the other side. I don't. Like, I'm not looking at how AI helps shape city government tonight, but I feel like
what is your? But what's your? You're one of the ones that are not in AI.
No, I'm not in AI. I'm not looking at AI. I'm looking at nighttime economy governance.
That's right.
And how policy making helps influence, the city's nighttime or 24-hour economies, right?
But that gets into your work, right?
That's exactly what I do. Yeah.
Yeah. So in the semester, right, they gave us a whole list now, and that was another reason why I came to Temple, was because they had one of the oldest DBA programs, right, and so they
Very
already
early
had,
adopter to this.
exactly. So I figured they had all their shit figured out, right? When you look at it, like they had to, a lot of these programs are just one year, 2 years in, right?
Yeah.
And then you start going there, and then you don't really have a research construct. They're not teaching you a lot of things. You may miss out on a lot of these because they're still experimenting with the program, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
But one of the things they did when that I liked in the first semester, they actually gave you access to all of the
Especially with all the previous dissertations.
dissertations.
Yeah, that was
So I went. So to go back to your question on the AI, right? Like I just think it's a trend now for this class, because I looked at all of those other 10 classes, and there was only one specific research topic on AI, and so when I look at our class now, I don't
add 20 more.
yeah, exactly. But then I don't know what, it'll be interesting to see when we get our when we match with the mentors, right? Because there's that issue between quantitative and qualitative research, right? And I think the folks just had Lynn on here talking about qualitative research, which we'll be taking our class. Maybe at some point, some of these folks start going into other areas, right? In terms of, because I'm sure a lot of people had AI questions or AI
Before,
narratives or something like that between the last semesters or the last cohorts, right? But none
so
of them
we
came
say, like,
out of
the AI part is like, it's easy. They're like, how does my career feel affected AI, right? And then the program will shift you towards a more definitive kind of niche question that really stays away from the AI part. I mean, there is something to be said that, AI now versus, I guess, the last dissertations would have started 3 years ago. Like, AI is more prevalent now than it would have been then. And we are seeing the shift in a lot of our fields. In government, not so much. It's more so about how to regulate AI. We're not seeing like AI kind of affect our day to day as much anymore. But I think, like, you in chemical engineering or other people in other fields, they're seeing AI being a thing, or even like Phil, with mining, he's like, AI is coming in and affecting like a mining industry. So I could see the relevance there, but I was like, is it just the easy thing that everybody just looks at?
Yeah. I mean, I think too, a lot of it too comes down to specificity, right? Because a lot of folks, they start doing it, and then you look at scope creep in your analysis. And so then you end up getting all of these um, different parallels into your research. And then what just one small project that you had end up turning out into a whole, a whole different construct of ideas that are coming out. And now you're not just dealing with one topic, you're dealing with 10 or 11 that you have to address. So I think that sometimes when people are looking at it, it's more complicated than that. And then they say, okay, well, now I'm going to have to pare it down and get out of AI or do something like that.
Actually, I think the other thing, even looking at like you're bringing up the dissertation list of all the previous students, or even looking at the research, I think I have a hard time because my subject is so new. Nighttime economy and nighttime governance, it's like a new way of governing. So there's not a ton of research there.
Yeah.
Even like when we had one of the discussion boards assignments, we had to like find articles that are in your field or similar to the research question and like go broad. I had to go extremely broad. There was nothing that focused on nighttime economies or 24-hour economies. And I think, I know that because professionally, I'm the first nighttime, economy director in the city, or nighttime mayor. But the concept of a nighttime mayor, it just started in 2014. And it started more from a practical point of view. So even as in my career, most of the data that I'm looking at or the research that I'm looking at, it's all peer driven. It's all my counterparts in another city did reports the same way I do reports on Philly. But there's not much academia there that I can look at. And so I find that kind of interesting, where I think some other fields people have the issue of like, there's so much research. How do you differentiate your question?
Right. So, but in your work too, this doctor will help because you're probably looking at all types of demographic data, social data, everything like that, looking at, the correlations between, let's say, different age groups going to different parts of the city and, where the influx of money is coming into and going out of, right? So, I think it's pretty interesting. Like, how did you get into your line of work?
Oh, that's quite interesting. So I kind of created the position that I have now. I served as a co-chair for the Art and Culture Task Force, which was a pandemic era task force that City Council put together when everybody was sheltered in place and shut down, about how to reopen our social economy. So, our nightlife, our arts, our culture, how to support that. And in that, task force and cheering and doing research and taking an inventory of where Philly was compared to other cities, I heard about this concept of a nighttime mayor. I was like, okay, well, what's that and what do they do? So I reached out, I reached out and started talking to some of the people who hold this role. The concept of a nighttime mayor started in 2014 in Amsterdam. Merrick Malati was the first, and then it spread to like Berlin and other cities in Europe, and then it had just started making its way to the U.S. And I talked about them, and they were the kind of shepherds of the social economy for their city.
Yeah.
Like they influenced policy, they supported businesses, people, and talked about this concept of a 24-hour city where, the city has a plan for what it looks like, it feels like at 2 a.m. and 2 p.m. And I was like, okay, we need that here in Philly. And so I wrote a proposal and submitted that proposal to city council. They voted and legislated it in. The mayor signed off on it, and then I became the first person to hold the role in the city of Philadelphia. So I kind of made that lane for me in the city.
But that's good, man, because that you created your own work.
Yeah.
That's it. You found, like, in the business world, you found a job to be done. You created it, and,
Right. Yeah.
and that was it. And then you
Found the problem, saw myself as a solution.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Do you know any other DBAs like previous to this, or how
No.
did you hear? But you just
So I knew I wanted to get a terminal degree. So
Yeah.
like that's been a goal of mine and always. And I wasn't sure where that degree would be. And I was looking at like Penn. And I was like, a lot of the work that I do would fall into like sociology because you're looking at, socioeconomic standpoint, policy making. But I had the MBA, which I loved. And I was like, well, I'm looking at it from more from a business and economic development point of view. And so I was just kind of doing my research and came across the DBA as a program. And again, the first one I ever heard of was Drexel's program. And I went to an info session like 3 years ago, and I talked to the director of the program over there. And I was like, okay, this is where I think I want to go. And 3 years later, I pulled the trigger, and I'm here at Fox. So
you
how did you find about
you,
DBA?
but you bring up an interesting point. You use the word terminal degree, right?
Yeah.
So when I started looking at it at programs, right, there's not many DBA programs. It's popular in Europe, right?
Yeah,
Doctor,
yeah.
but not so much in the U.S.
yeah.
Like, I think Temple's program is like 10 years old or something like that, right? And there's
Yeah.
other programs that are 1 or 2 years old.
There's like Pepperdine. I think it all started with Temple. They there's like a crew.
Right. So when I looked at terminal degrees, I was like, okay, they considered MBAs a terminal degree.
Where?
So I was like, I was looking it up on the definitions, ChatGPT. I was like, an MBA is a terminal degree.
Yeah.
Right. And so, but now with the influx of these DBAs, they still say MBA.
Oh, so the MBA would have been a terminal degree in a business
Correct.
sense. Gotcha.
Right.
Yeah, like a JD is a terminal degree in a law sense. Gotcha.
Right. But now I still say if there's a DBA, then you can't really say that the MBA is a terminal degree because it's a step higher, right? I looked at the DBA because it's important for me in my business because I didn't want to do a PhD traditionally because I have like almost 30 years of work experience, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not going to research. I need to apply it to business world, right? Cases and models and things like that, and how to make profitability, how to make businesses successful, et cetera, right? And so I thought that would be a good place to start when I started looking at the DBAs, right? Secondly, I said, okay, well, you know what? Now that I'm doing it, like, what can I do afterwards, right? And I think a lot of people now that they're living longer, right? I was just reading one of these studies, the people living a lot longer till past the mid 70s, right?
Yeah.
And you find a lot of people are still working at that time, right? And I'm looking at myself, right?
Yeah, I try to be 75 and working.
Right, exactly. Well, like, if I have to work, then I want to do something I like, right?
Yeah.
So why not like use whatever I learned, right? So I'm thinking at some point maybe go out, do some teaching, do something like that, adjunct. Also, maybe get involved, from in my community, looking at things like that. And I think the DBA will help, and that's why I decided to do it now versus waiting any longer to do it. I took a year off to think about it when I was doing it, and then I decided to come back and look at it.
No, I think you make a great point. Like, teaching is definitely something I want to do at the end of the career. Like, like when I'm done, wherever my career takes me, at the end of the day, I want to like sit, teach the next generation. Adjunct now, and so I was looking at that. So I was looking at the PhD and the DBA, and I love the DBA because it's practical. It takes in the fact that you are in the field and you have these years of experience. I'm an entrepreneur by trade, even before working for the city. I've been a business professional my entire career, and so having that ability to apply that, which I thought the MBA was really great because I was running my company full time. I was going to MBA classes and applying those things right to my company. to build a stronger and better company. I like the DBA part because you can, like you said, you apply it right now when you're at work. I'm applying the research I'm doing. It's tied in to the questions and answers I need, the data and how to read the data that I come across. And then you can teach with this degree. And it brings you that practical lens where, you're not just, a PhD where, you're all about theory and you're focusing and diving and pushing thought from a theory point of view, but you're, about the practice. So I think I like that you can get the best of both worlds on that.
Yeah, I think too for a PhD, it's so specific, right? And a lot of folks, you're kind of, well, not to take anything away from
Yeah.
PhDs, but I just do not like the idea of just sitting or doing one topic forever. Like I want to be out in the field working, right? And so academia is one part of it, but I also enjoy being a part of a corporate or
Yeah.
running a company, or at some point I'm looking at maybe I'll run a company or be an entrepreneur or do something like that, and so the academia part of it, I just simply do not want to be pigeonholed into that specific part of it, right? And that's why the DBA kind of help for me to make everything clear, right? Like I could do consulting, I could do teaching, I could do a lot of different things with it, right? Not just do the academic part of it. So,
And is that advice you would share to somebody who's considering, like, should I do a PhD or should I do a DBA? Like, is that the sales pitch there between the two?
You know what? It's hard to explain, right? Because it's hard to say, because to me, I think for PhDs, I think if they want to be in college, they want to teach in the academic area. I don't I don't know a lot of PhD business people that are actually working in business, except for like the McKinseys of the world and the BCGs of the world, right? But there's only so many positions for that, right? And there's so many multiple industries. I don't know. I think it's more practical to get to DBA because you're dealing with a lot of transitioning business models that are changing fast over very quickly. Whereas I think the PhD is analyzing business that, decades old, or phenomena that's maybe not, to me.
And it sounds like you're getting into that conversation of rigor versus relevance.
Right.
You think the PhD is all about rigor, DBA is about relevance.
Yeah. I mean, but that's, and that's why I approach it, because I think it's more malleable if I want to say to the business dynamic and business world that I'm in, right? Models are changing so quickly, and I think that the DBA gets you around with a lot of these people that are working in different industries. Like, look at our cohort, right? We have people in mining, we have people in pharmaceuticals, we have people in
tech, government,
we got nightlife mayors, right? So and then so we have a lot of that different variation that you wouldn't find where I think that when you're dealing with academia, you're just dealing with a bunch of people that are just been studying but maybe not have been out in traditional industries, so to speak, right?
Yeah, no, I definitely love the practical part of it. And that's what I liked about MBA too.
Yeah,
like the MBA is real practical. The DBA takes the academia further, and then you figure out the how and to ask the right question to figure out why things are happening. I think with our program, it's challenging without a doubt. I don't think I feel like it's any less or more like academically challenging. Like they are pushing us. But I do love that the topics are very specific and relevant to what we're doing. Like some of the discussions we have in class, it's always framed around, so what are you experiencing at work? And even when we hear people give their take on an article we read, it's like, well, at my job or in my industry, we see this. And I love hearing that, where it's like, these are the people that are doing, right? These are the people that are actually implementing these theories. And sometimes you may know them, like, oh, this is what we do and we do this because, or sometimes you're like, okay, this is how my industry is set up. And then you can come find out that, hey, listen, this is a theory that people research that works best. So that's why your company adopted that. So I think that again, that practice part makes it, and it also makes it easier to want to learn. Like the work is much easier if you are engaged in it, right? And you can apply it. Like when you're reading these tons of articles. I think we just talked about how many pages we had to read before this.
700.
Yeah, it was like 700 pages of articles. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's like absolutely ridiculous. But again, when you're reading through those things and it's relevant to your actual work, your day to day, it doesn't seem like an addition to. It seems like a supplement. Like you combine it. Like I'm reading about things that I can apply, and so doesn't seem as daunting.
Yeah, no, of course. And you know what? Just for the record, since we have all these, we were talking about PhDs versus DBAs or anything like that. Definitely, if you're into research or anything like that, I respect PhDs. I think it's great. There's a lot of work there. I don't want to get jumped by some PhD students going to my cart.
Yeah, they flash your tires.
Right, exactly. But definitely, there's a role for PhDs.
But I think we also it's like we don't have a lot of research. We're learning how to be researchers in the DBA program too. So I think there's a similarity in it. I think just the difference is what do you want to do with the terminal degree? Like, do you want to go and be in academia, which I think, there's a place for that, or do you want to be kind of relevant? Like, do you want a career of teaching, which is great? That's like usually the traditional PhD route, or do you want to have a career and then teach? And that's what I look at it as. I want to have a career and then teach, and this DBA makes me a better, better in academia. Like, we speak the language, we learn in the language, we're learning how to ask the right questions, how to dive deeper, and not be so general or broad.
Yeah, and I find the same way too. To me, that's what my focus is on as well. Really, just applying what I learned, and then transitioned into it later on, and then saying, hey, I'll give a real world application, real world. My real life experiences plus the academic part of it to the next generation, so to speak. Hopefully I'll be able to contribute to them. But
no, hopefully you will.
Yeah. Exactly.
So you'll be Fox TU made. You know what I mean? A Fox TU made. Moving companies forward.
Moving companies forward. But so I think we
keep on filming.
Oh,
I'm filming. All right, I'm taking the mic. All right, so in our podcast, right at the end, we do like yes or no, this or that questions. All right,
let's do it.
Rapid fire.
All right, so we're doing rapid fire now.
Fire on the fly. All right, the first one comes out strong. Craziest thing you did in life that you can say on the podcast. That's the first one.
All right, craziest thing you did in your life that you could say on the podcast.
I mean, I'm a certified skydiver, so I think I could start there, and that's very green.
So
I jump out of planes regularly.
And wait, well, let's go back to this one is I have to think about this one. Craziest thing that I've done
that you can say on the podcast, and we can't talk about that one time last.
No,
you can't say that on the podcast.
Craziest thing I've done on it, I'd have to say I jumped out of a plane in Australia, and I just went there, and I went there on a solo trip. I went there, and I jumped out of a plane too. I also did that, and scuba dived the same day. But that was
you're not supposed to do that.
Exactly.
You know that, right?
Yeah, I know, but that.
Yourself.
but I did that because I was there. I was around in my mid-20s, and I said, you know what, I'm going to go there, and I was there for work, and I only had a couple days. I only had a couple days off, and I did it, and that was it.
I jumped out of plane for the first time when I was 21, and it was so amazing. I told myself I was going to get certified. And 2 years later, I got certified, and I've been doing it ever since.
But you have a plan. You tell everyone your plan for the graduation.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
So I have the DBA, Fox DBA class of 28 pledge. I've started it where our cohort, once everyone graduates and defends their dissertation, we're going to all jump out of plane graduation weekend. We're going to all go skydiving, jump out of plane in our cap and gowns, and then go to the graduation ceremony. It's going to be great. The plane is going to be a bunch of graduates jumping out. You committed, right?
I'm committed.
You're committed, right, Kev? You committed?
Man.
That's why you committed, right? We're all in it. Listen, we've got a pledge that everybody sign it.
All right, read that one out.
Mets or Cowboys? What?
All right, and that is it. Go Birds. This conversation. Go Birds. Go Phils. Is death an option? Death before dishonor.
I do like the Mets though. Cowboys now for hashtag trash. But no,
Dallas sucks.
Yeah.
All right, we'll finish it on this. All right, we'll keep it back to something a little bit more relevant. All right, talk about your most rewarding business experience, and then we'll wrap it.
Well, tell me about your most rewarding.
My most rewarding business experience. Let's see. So I am an entrepreneur. I own a company called The Weekender Experiences. It's an entertainment event management company. So I throw trips all around the world, and also throw events. And I think I do say about a most rewarding moment is one of my clients is the Philadelphia Museum of Art, and I throw their largest event of the year. It's called Artish. You guys are here in the spring. You could come. It's an amazing event. We celebrate and highlight all things Philly, all things art and adjacent. So art, music, food, culinary experience. It's really dope. And that event that I throw has been named Party or Event of the Year in the city of Philadelphia for like 3 years. And so like that is a rewarding business moment where I know like from execution to the vision to putting it through that it related with my end user and the customer. And I think that's the only thing you can ask for as an entrepreneur because we plan in our head, we know what we want to do, we know the product you want to deliver, but does it hit the mark? And does what you have in your mind and your business model resonate with the end user? And to be named part of the year or event of the year is one of the things I think. I was like, yeah, I did that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, when I look at most rewarding business experiences, to me, I guess it goes back to what we talked earlier about what I did starting. My background's in chemical engineering, right? So I started up with Exxon Chemical and BOC process plants and BASF Chemical. And when I first started my career, I was only doing, I was in a lab or I was in a production facility, right? And I was just basically behind closed doors, didn't engage with people, and that was basically my life. So I wasn't really looking at. I didn't work well with people, right? And so I ended up doing my MBA, and after I got my MBA, they transitioned me over into the commercial side of the business. So I never thought that I'd have, um, let's say, so much say or molding in terms of molding people, right? Or managing people, right? And I never thought of myself as that because I always thought I was going to just be an engineer or a scientist. And so for me, as I transitioned in my career over the past 30 years or so, I've been ending up getting into higher positions, leading and running companies, leading and running different businesses and business groups. So the most rewarding experience to me, I find, is developing people, right?
Love that.
And so now it's like, okay, I remember myself when I was 22, 23 years old, and now I'm managing people and I'm helping them get along in their career moving forward. And that's what I find most rewarding when I see somebody, especially the business is so incestuous. So you see people that you've worked with, maybe 10 years down the line or 15 years down the line, and they say, oh, you know what, I remember you. You were a good manager. You did something for me, and now I'm doing well. That's really, to me, when it comes back to you that way, that's the most rewarding experience to see
Yeah.
someone else say, hey, you know what, you helped contributed to my success, and you put your fingerprint on their persona a bit. And
And
that's
that's why you're gonna be an amazing professor
Yeah.
at the end of this career, and you have your DVA, you're gonna teach,
Yeah.
training the next generation.
Hey, and you too. You're gonna be
Yeah, that's trying. Listen,
Yeah.
before we wrap up, I got one last question.
Yeah.
What's your favorite place that I've taken you to since you've been in your DBA program in Philly? Because the after class stuff has been pretty good too.
Yeah, you took us to a place that had this. I forget the name of the place, but it was in a hotel, and it had a glass roof.
JG Sky High.
JG Sky High.
Yeah.
That's the place to go. If anyone's looking to go to a place in Philadelphia, JG Sky High. Actually, we may go tonight.
We may go tonight. We got like 2 stops before then though.
Yeah.
We got 3 now.
Yeah, 3 now, right?
Yeah, we should go tonight.
Hey,
Yeah.
listen, it'll be great. Breakfast will be great in the morning while everybody's struggling. And Kev's the only one looking like a spring chicken.
I think I have Lynn's number, so we're gonna get her out.
We can grab Lynn, get Lynn out. Let's go.
Yeah, let's go.
All right. Well, this is great. First and foremost, anybody else listening, it's Temple DBA class of 2028. Enjoyed talking with everybody tonight. Hopefully we drop some gems. Kevin Aswani, thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us, and reach out if you need anything.